Think you've seen it all when it comes to horror games? Well, you haven't until you've stepped into the twisted, terrifying world of itch.io. From spine-chilling pixel nightmares to PS1-style fever dreams, these indie gems prove you don't need a big budget to lose sleep. Today, we're diving into 7 horror games on itch.io you absolutely must play if you dare. First game on the list is We Become What We Behold. We Become What We Behold is a short, experimental, point-and-click game created by Nicky Case in October 2016 that delves into how media influences and amplifies society's behaviors and emotions. It's an HTML5 game built with Pixie.js, freely available to play in itch.io. Your only interaction is photographing characters moving about. Each photo shows up on a small screen that the other characters see, triggering reaction. Photographing a man with a hat inspires everyone else to adopt hats. Capturing an angry person yelling triggers a media-driven frenzy, escalating fear, aggression, and violence among the characters. Photographing a loving couple results in public shame, quickly quashing romance. The game dramatizes how a single image or narrative can snowball into societal division. This is a fun indie game, and it's available on itch.io for free. The Smiling Man Remake, a PS1-style horror game from Noxus Games Studio. The retro, low-poly aesthetic and CRT/VHS filters immediately evoke that unsettling, nostalgic atmosphere. Developed by Noxus Games Studio, this single-player horror experience reimagines the short-lived original, offering 2 narrative modes: Main Real Story by Blue Title, Alternative Story, serving as a recreation with enhanced modeling, sound, and multiple endings. The main story is quite short, while the alternative route offers more substance and 3 distinct endings. Adding replay value. Draws suspense influences from classic horror films of the 80s and 90s. It's a great pick for fans of retro horror and indie atmospheric games. Just brace yourself for its creepiness. Error 54, the indie horror game styled after PT, developed solo by Artyom Kilya in just 2 months. A short, first-person horror experience heavily inspired by PT. Approximately 10 minutes to complete, though some players extend their playtime exploring or recording. Crafted solo in around 2 months, an experimental, free-to-play project. This game had some crazy jump scares. The random, creepy breathing, map changing, kept me on edge. Error 54 is a neat, bite-sized horror gem that nails atmosphere and tension despite its brevity. It's not polished or innovative, but as a free experiment and PT tribute, it succeeds at giving players a quick thrill. The Windows Are Gone, a moody PS1/PS2 inspired horror game by Scary Cube. The narrative centers on grief and guilt after a tragic accident, mixed with dreamlike sequences in a haunting house that calls to the protagonist. The game embraces nostalgic, low-poly visuals reminiscent of early PlayStation-era graphics, coupled with moody, modern lighting and post-processing. Players unpack boxes, place items, and decorate the space mundane actions that gradually become unsettling as the environment shifts. There are hidden elements like 4 VHS tapes and a phone number to discover via exploration and object interaction. The tension builds slowly, relying on atmosphere, sound design, and narrative to unsettle you. It's a nice, slow burn horror game that doesn't rely on jump scares and builds a nice atmosphere. The Windows Are Gone is a remarkable entry in indie psychological horror. It proves that minimalistic design, strong atmosphere, and personal storytelling can leave a lasting impact, even in under an hour. If you appreciate slow burn tension and eerie ambiance, this is a gem worth experiencing, preferably in the dark, headphones on. Litho is a short first-person horror game built in Unreal Engine, where your girlfriend has gone missing, plucked away during a night of sleep by an unknown captor. You, too, are dragged into a twisted scenario and must navigate a series of eerie, puzzle-laden rooms to survive. The game leans heavily into a Saw-inspired aesthetic, featuring disjointed atmospheric environments, from a dead body-laden storeroom to a haunting sunflower room overflowing with spiders. Although indie in its roots, the game's use of lighting and illumination creates a strong sense of dread and suspense reminiscent of higher-budget horror titles. Sound design and lighting work in tandem to heighten tension, while push-you-over-the-edge jump scares rival those in Five Nights at Freddy's, though reportedly executed with slightly more finesse. Litho is a compelling indie horror experiment with strong visual design and tension, elevated by smart lighting, atmospheric rooms, and well-timed scares. However, it's quite brief, narratively cryptic, and technically uneven in some areas. Recommended for fans of atmospheric horror who enjoy short, unsettling experiences with a surreal twist, and don't mind a story that asks more questions than it answers.
Rescued by a knight in shining armor. But the knight has a choice. Will he choose to save her or himself? It's up to him.
Shift at Midnight is an indie horror game by Bun Moon, currently in development and available as a single-player demo on itch.io, with a full co-op multiplayer version planned for Steam. You work the graveyard shift at a 1990s rural gas station. Some customers are doppelgangers, mysterious creatures disguised as humans. Gameplay mechanics: ask each customer up to 5 questions. Cross-check their paperwork against the computer. Observation of behavior is crucial. One slip-up, and the doppelganger may attack. If a creature escapes, gameplay escalates. Board up, lay traps, hide, and survive. Shift at Midnight is shaping up to be a standout indie horror experience, combining tense interrogation mechanics, eerie atmosphere, and cooperative potential. The demo has already won praise for its intensity and style, and community enthusiasm is high. If you're looking for something that blends psychological horror with detective survival and enjoy the thrill of shared scares, this is one to watch. The multiplayer demo is imminent, so keep an eye on the Steam page and wishlist to catch it early. Holidays in Khrushchevsk is a single-player psychological horror walking simulator developed by Ask Games. It's set in modern-day Russia, where you play as Sasha, who visits his struggling grandmother in a familiar Soviet-era town and encounters unsettling supernatural phenomena. The game excels at building tension through atmospheric detail. Old apartment interiors, subtle audio design, and slow-burn exploration create a sense of dread and nostalgia. Completion typically ranges from 50 to 70 minutes, depending on how thoroughly you explore. As a walking simulator, it emphasizes environmental exploration and solving simple puzzles, not combat or fast-paced action. Night vision tools appear later to aid visibility, though parts can initially be quite dark. A few players mention difficulty reading text due to small fonts, navigating in the dark, or unclear puzzle hints. Holidays in Khrushchevsk is a compact horror experience built around mood and eeriness rather than innovation. If you enjoy atmospheric, story-driven indie horror with a cultural twist and don't mind light puzzle solving, this is worth exploring, especially at its modest price. Just be ready for some dark corridors and a few navigation hiccups. And there you have it, 7 creepy little nightmares just waiting for you on itch.io. Whether you want something atmospheric, jump-scary, or just plain weird, these picks will keep you looking over your shoulder for the rest of the night. If you found a game here you're brave enough to try, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe keep a light on tonight. You'll thank me later.